Thank you for being here. As we roll into 2012, how many of you have ever heard of the Global Compact, which presents a set of core values relating to human rights, labor standards, the environment, and anti-corruption efforts? For more on this, I want to go to Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. He does fabulous work with his team. And the story here is a major pension fund and longtime investor in Walmart. What's happened to them? Well, they've been blacklisted, citing poor labor practices and the company's anti-union stance as a driving force behind its rejection. Robert, good to have you with us here on the program again.
Thank you, Ed. Great to be with you today.
You've been following this story for some time. Take us down this road. What's Walmart looking at?
Well, when we did the Walmart full-length documentary years ago, Walmart, the high cost of low price, way back then it was very clear that for years they had terrible policies towards their workers, towards the environment, towards homeowners, towards small businesses. There was a tremendous and large-scale coalition of folks who were being desperately hurt by Walmart. Today's news is actually very important. The pension fund, which pulled out its money, this is a fund, Ed, that's worth $300 billion. It's based in the Netherlands. And they did not move quickly. For 4 years, they'd been meeting with Walmart. They'd been trying to get them to change their policy, and finally realized that they were not going to be able to get them to change, and that unhappy workers really hurt the bottom line of a business. So they had, no, it wasn't chicken feed. They had $120 million in Walmart that they are pulling out. And more importantly, it sends a message to many other funds that Walmart is not a safe bet, it is not a good investment, and that if you look at it purely financially and you look at it morally and for the sake of our country, they are hurting us in significant ways.
Pretty amazing stuff. It's the United Nations Global Compact Principles. And they blacklisted the largest retailer in the world for non-compliance. What do they want them to do?
Well, what they want them to do is what many of us have been trying for years and years, is to have a reasonable policy towards the workers, rather than, as it was stated, the staggering number of lawsuits, the National Labor Relations Board complaints against Walmart, and the lawsuits are all over the place. And again, when we did the film, and workers were really terrified. I mean, you'd be very surprised how scared they were to talk to us about the lawsuits, whether it was women or it was some of the racial lawsuits or the workplace lawsuits. It goes on. And look, we all know what happens in a lawsuit. If you have enough money to pay for lawyers, you can persevere. And so they would take on people, small businesses, homeowners, and just pummel them with their drive towards the greed. And it's also, I think, very relevant, Ed, we're talking about it today, because the Waltons are, in many ways, an example, an epitome of the 1%. 6 members of the Walton family, just get this, have more money than the bottom 30% of all Americans combined.
Pretty amazing stuff.
6 members of a family who never worked a day in their life for that money. And Rob Walton, who's chairman of the board, is worth about $21 billion.
For 4 years, the fund met repeatedly with Walmart executives, as I read from the story, trying to use its shareholders' influence to persuade the company to improve corporate practices, especially with regard to labor and the environment. What are they doing to the environment?
Well, they're doing a whole lot to the environment, and from everything from violating a whole series of laws set up by the local communities, where when we were doing our film, we did investigations. We saw toxic waste coming from stores. And then you see their general practices, which essentially are, at bottom line, we will do anything to make a bigger buck. And if it hurts the environment, again, if it hurts homeowners, if it hurts small businesses, this is a company, Ed, that cost the United States over 196,000 U.S. jobs just between 2001 and 2006 by driving business over to China and the imports from there that could have been good, hard, and reasonable jobs in this country. They're just not prepared to pay the workers.
Well,
again, it goes back to the 1%.
And their attitudes towards labor and labor unions obviously has now hurt them worldwide. And they declined to comment on the divestment, adding that the company never discusses investors' decisions to buy or sell, regardless of the circumstances. Are they just too big to be hurt at all? Can they continue to move forward and just go in a different direction and still be able to handle their funds as they see fit? I mean, the fund declined to say how much money is involved, but according to ABP records, it has invested some 95 million euros, worth 121 million today in U.S. Walmart stores as of June 30th, 2011. It's still, not to minimize this, but it's almost pocket change to the strength of Walmart.
Well, it is pocket change, but it's a beginning. And with Walmart, as we found, again, in doing the film and doing literally thousands of screenings around the country, you need to. They're an equal opportunity offender, so you need to come at them from all points of view. This is the first time, I believe, there's been a large pension fund or a large financial fund saying to them, your policies are actually hurting your bottom line. Unhappy workers make for a bad business. And the fact that you are paying on an average $8.81 while Rob Walton's worth $21 billion, that's an inequity that is going to truly hurt your business. And the fact that there's almost $1 billion that we, the taxpayers, are funding Walmart workers in health care because they don't pay for it, that's going to hurt your business. And I think that's an important way to talk about it and a good breakthrough, saying, you guys, you can't just keep on doing this. So it's not by itself going to change it, Ed, but combined with all of the action and all of the work going on, and in this environment, an environment of the 1%, I think there's an opportunity to call them to task.
Great to have you with us, Robert Greenwald, Brave New Films. You can join him on Twitter at Robert Greenwald, Greenwald. A great warrior for fairness in America. Great to have you with us, Robert.
Thanks, Ed.
You bet.